Yeah, hi, thank you for having me. So it's so exciting to do this kind of interview. It's my first time doing this kind of interview. So I'm Sydney, wrote a book called How to Have a Good Day. It is under the pen name David Adams, and it's available now on Kobo. So what it talks about is that it is about people who are working remotely right now and people who are just finding themselves, less productive than usual. And so we wrote a book that is giving tips and tricks on how to have a good day. From wherever you are, you can always just turn the page, go back to a blank slate, and produce happy days. So the more happy days that you produce, I believe that that is what gives you a happy life.
Great, sounds exciting. So my name is Aisha and I'm currently a university student. And university, you're just preparing for your future and it's very stressful. So I'm very interested in topics like mental wellness, productivity, and time management. So that's why I'm here to gain some more insights from Sydney. And I'm really excited to have to be with you today. So I'm going to start by asking Sydney some questions to get to know her a little bit better. So Sydney, what inspired you to start writing?
Yeah, so like I said, we wrote this actually during the pandemic, during the first part of the quarantine. I know that's a little bit different in different countries. So just kind of seeing what people are going through and wanting to kind of produce something to help people out there in the community. And so just wanted to create something that was positive, that was productive, and that would be helpful for people to who are just having a little bit of a tough time right now. And so it was interesting that this turned out to be, one of those kinds of quarantine projects.
I think it helped me a lot during my quarantine as well. So I'm a huge fan of your book, and it definitely inspired me to be more productive and confident about my goals in life. So do you mind sharing some of your goals in life and how you're trying to achieve them?
Yeah, so of course we have a company called VenturX. So what that does is that it helps startups get funding at the early stage. And so we do that through a tool that tracks their different metrics, their KPIs, key performance indicators, and best match them with different investors. So a big goal of mine is, of course, to have as much impact as possible working with different kinds of companies like this who are innovative, who are inspiring, who do a lot of great good for humanity and for the world. We also open a venture fund called VenturX Capital that is located out there in Victoria, BC. I'm currently in Montreal, but we have different startups that apply from all over North America that we also help fund. So I have a strong focus for underrepresented groups in order to then fully represent the country that we do live in. So if you are a startup and you have a great idea or you have traction and those kinds of things, please join us in our upcoming webinars. Please join us to apply for funding from our fund. So that is, of course, a really great goal that I have. And then the other one is I've always wanted to see all 7 wonders of the world.
That's great. It's really you have such a good and inspiring goal. So everyone watching, I want you to comment some of your goals down below that you made during the pandemic or any just in general. And I'm excited to see those. So while you guys are commenting those, Sydney is going to read a certain excerpt of her book, How to Have a Good Day, and it's the chapter, How to Overcome Your Challenges. So Sydney, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you so much for this opportunity. So this is one of my favorite parts. It is basic and it is the truth. It takes one day at a time. You only have control over what you're experiencing. What has passed is gone. What lies ahead can change at any time. Face each challenge posed each day, and when you realize it, half of the way will have been covered. Be humble to recognize the bad moments you're in. Not everything happens the way and at the time that we want, but we must accept it and be realistic. It is the first step of getting out of where you are and keep walking. Don't complain or regret life. This creates negative energy around you and makes things start to go wrong and go backwards. Complaining is useless. We need to understand where we are and what we want to and where we want to go and move towards that. Complaining is a waste of time. Understanding that, although we live with people, we are born and live alone. This are usually things that we need to face alone. And as much as we are people giving strength and following side by side, we can only really face and get the job done. Pride does not get anyone anywhere. It is necessary to accept what is posed, understand the limits on what worked on it. The challenges part of everyone's life. These are the ones that put us in the motion that takes us out of our comfort zone. But when the burden is too heavy, now how we go back and start over, it is essential to face any challenge that comes up in your life. Have goals and targets to achieve them. Understand that nothing comes with a kiss, and when it does, it doesn't taste the same. Know that in the end, all efforts will be worthwhile, and there is nothing in this world that is better than the feeling of a mission accomplished. After all the storm, the calm comes. Work to reach the sublime moment, which usually happens after a huge challenge. It is like a gift from life for you to breathe, rest, and come back with even more breath for the next round. Try to think positive and see the good in the situation. As bad as it may be, there may always be a bright side, even if it is learning, which is one of the best things we can have in this life.
Thank you for reading that. That was one of my favorite chapters as well. So now I'm just going to ask you some questions related to productivity and mental wellness, and I hope all the viewers get inspired by some of those answers. So my first question, being a student currently in university, I procrastinate a lot for my assignments, and I end up doing a lot of them last minute. So do you have any tips on how to procrastinate less and manage my time better?
Yeah, so part of the book, what we do is that we do as much planning and routines as possible. So I'm a strong believer that your success actually lies in your routine. And a lot of people are too result oriented in order to kind of see that. So, for example, do you have a morning routine or an evening routine that you usually do?
No.
Okay. So I have both a morning routine and an evening routine that I actually fell in love with. And so my evening routine is that I drink a tea that is helping me fall asleep because I've been a bad sleeper my whole life. So this is apple cider vinegar with honey and some hot water. And when you drink it, it's kind of like a natural melatonin that makes your body very, very calm. The other thing from Arianna Huffington's book, Sleep Revolution, is to actually, sorry, I'm going to take these out, to actually have a bath every single night. And so the reason for that is both spiritual as well as for your overall health. Health benefits, of course, you know, cleanliness is next to godliness. You are there to wash away the day, though. So everything that comes from that day, everything is going to be okay because you've washed it all away. And then in the morning, I like to wake up around 6:30 in the morning, and I go outside if it's not too cold. We do live in Canada, so it's cold a lot. So when it's not too cold, I go outside and I do reading and journaling. So right now, I am reading about, Malcolm Gladwell, which is one of my favorite Canadian authors. And yeah, so catching up on things like that helps you see that, you know, your morning and your evening routines are ways to break up your day, and they're not just your whole day. But if you wake up only thinking about the tasks that you have, you may be really, really stressed out already. So part of my morning journaling, and this is something that if you were procrastinating, could be something that you could do, is to take bite-sized pieces, okay? So if I were to ask you tomorrow, what is your top 2 priorities of the day? What are your 2 biggest tasks for the day? Meaning, what are the things, not as in they're just important, but what are the things that you have to do that will make the rest of your day easier or completely obsolete? And if you keep doing that, you know, for over just 1 week, you will be able to see a huge difference and how that really changes.
Okay, I'll be sure to try out that drink and try your tips as well. Thank you for that answer. So at this age, as I'm thinking about my future, I tend to compare my accomplishments with other people around me. And I tend to feel like I might not be as successful as them. And this negatively impacts my mental health, I feel like. So how should I overcome this challenge?
Yeah, so that is a really great question. And so we do live in a society that is very interdependent. So we are always connected to other humans. And during COVID, we can see that that has been more of an issue than ever before, how connected we really are to people and to each other. One thing that I do is I tend to block out things from my environment. And so there are a few ways that I recommend that you do that. So there's actually a whole bunch of different kind of Google Chrome extensions. I know this sounds like it's a very cheap kind of shortcut, but it really works. So if you are somebody who has to produce, you're somebody who has to be creative, that's part of your job, that's part of your life, this is part of your happiness, you know, then you can't overconsume. And what I mean by that is that you can't overconsume in social media and technology and in media in general. And I'm saying this ironically as a professional marketer, where we produce things for other people to consume.
Yeah.
But it is true. And so I have Facebook block feeders. I don't know what anything that is going on with my friends in Instagram or Facebook or anything else. And if they want to tell me, they can tell me in person. Or they can just like call me and tell me. And I'm like, oh, right, your baby's like 3 years old now. And so I will know that later. But yeah, so I do have blockers and those kinds of things to block out, especially during certain times too. So there's also apps called Stay Focused, as well as what's it called? Rescue Time. Yeah. So these kinds of apps, what they do is that they block out certain things that are procrastinators and that are blockers. And so part of feeling how you would when you're comparing things to other people is that you are seeing what other people are doing, what other people are consumed with, and you are then consumed with their lives, right? And that, of course, will make you feel less focused on yourself and on your goals and on your own happiness. So I do recommend doing a lot of journaling, meditation, things that are internal work, but also to block out a lot of external forces using apps like Facebook Feed Blocker. Eradicate is another great one because it blocks out multiple different ones. I also have blockers on half of my YouTube, even though I use it every day. I block out on, you know, these suggested things that the companies suggest you consume more of, you know. No, I want to choose, and I want to be able to write things into the search column old school style and like super slowly if I really want to. And yeah, and then the quality time that you have with your friends that you want to catch up with will really mean more when it comes from them instead of just, you know, random posts that you see in passing.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I'll download those apps and definitely implement those in my life. So that's all the questions I have for you. Do you mind telling everyone where you can find your book and what your social media handles are as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so the book is available now on Kobo, and if you guys like, please visit please visit our Instagram. In the profile page, you can actually see a link to our book. You will also see it in the description below because we're going to upload this video on YouTube, so you can go grab a copy there. And also, yeah, so other ways to find us is the best place is definitely Instagram to be able to converse with us, ask questions. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. So you can go ahead and do that. And I see that we also have a few questions.
Yeah, so I just want to open up to any questions from you guys, anything regarding mental health, productivity, time management, and Sydney will be happy to answer you guys. So comment down below any questions you have.
All right, perfect. So it looks like we have our first one. Awesome. Hello, and thank you for asking questions. Anywhere specific that you want to go? So I think that you were talking probably about when Esha was asking me about my goals. So I want to go see the 7 World Wonders. I have seen 2. Have I seen 2? Yeah, I have seen 2. So I've seen the Great Wall of China and Machu Picchu. And so I still have like 5 more to go. That's where I specifically want to go. If you meant where do I specifically want to go in terms of the company, I don't know that I have more specifics than that. When it comes to entrepreneurship, I find that you just go from one opportunity to the next. And as long as you are still following your overall vision, then it's okay. You don't have to be very specific about the end goal. What inspired you to start the journey, which culminated your book? Okay, yeah, so that is a really great question. So definitely entrepreneurship was a very big change in my life, and it is in any entrepreneur's life when you are going from something that is really structured to something that you get to have all the flexibility in the entire world. And all of the possibilities make things actually much harder because you have too much to choose from. You have too much to do. And when you are kind of scrambling away from having structure, from having routines, from having goals and those kinds of things, and you're just working to something that you think is your end goal, to whatever your entrepreneurship journey is, that can be really, really daunting, and it can be really hard to kind of dig out and get out of that. So it's really easy to get into your own head. So what I wanted to bring out in this book was ways to actually just get out of your own head, and ways to really focus on one thing at a time. And like I said, break bigger things into smaller chunks in order to achieve them better and faster.
Great.
Hi, Mary. How are you? How do you manage to stay mentally healthy and drive the midst of an ongoing pandemic? That is great. I don't. No. So I'm a big believer in, this is a Tim Ferriss rule. So you are your average of 5. So I know that during the pandemic, you can't really go and see everyone that you wish you could, but whoever that you are connected with, whether it is work, whether it is your best friend, your parents that you're taking care of, your children, you are the average of your 5. Thank you. You're the average of your 5. So that means that if the people that you are around are, very athletic, you are probably going to increase your athleticism over time during the pandemic. So this actually happened to me during the pandemic. So I am in pretty good shape, but I am definitely the only one in my workout group who's never ran a marathon. They could do that like from just sitting down in a chair, and they'd be fine. 2 of my friends are running 54K this weekend. I don't know how. And so our workout group during the pandemic, especially during the first phase, which is when I started writing this book, we were getting together 11 times a week on Zoom. That seems insane, right? 11 times a week for several months. So I was in like the best shape ever. And it was because I was around people who made it seem like that was a perfectly normal thing to do. And it wasn't. It was not a perfectly normal thing to do. This one girl, her name is Jacobin. She lives near me. And she is like the craziest marathon runner and incredibly athletic in every way. And so she came to, one of the early morning yoga sessions. I think it was at 6:30 in the morning. And she just came back from a run. And her runs are between 10K and 20K every morning. And that seems perfectly normal to her. So she goes, oh yeah, guys, I just came back from a run. So this is a really good time to do yoga right after. And I'm like, what time did you possibly wake up to do this? This would take me hours to do. So how I was able to stay mentally strong was to be around people who had a positive mentality in things that make your life positive, whether that would be your health, whether that would be, your relationships, whether that would be your career. And so if you're around those people, I felt that it was making me stronger every day, no matter what I was going through. So I do hope for everyone who is listening that you do have, your top 5 in your list, and they're contributing positively to you. What has been your biggest challenge thus far? Yeah, so that is a really good question. So my biggest challenge so far is always to definitely balance things, but also to run things remotely. So even though during the entire course of VenturX, which is my company, I have only had remote teams. However, during COVID, it was much harder to run them. So it was, I learned this with, my last team as well, which was that managing 3 people during COVID was 10 times harder than managing 9 people, not with COVID. And none of them had COVID. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying was that the burnout was much quicker. The energy level was not the same, and it was really difficult to always know what other people may want or need. Of course, trying to make myself open and available for, feedback and listening to things that they need, offering them, more mental health days or just days that they needed for whatever the reason is that is related to COVID or not. But yes, definitely everything that has to do with the pandemic that has very little to do with health has been my biggest challenge as a manager, as an entrepreneur, and hopefully just as a good team member. So
great. I hope that helped you. I hope that helped you, Kamut. So I think it's time to wrap it up. Sorry, Mahika, for not answering your question, but I think you probably learned something from her other question that she answered. So thank you guys, everyone, for coming. And thank you, Sydney, for answering my questions. I had a great time talking to you, and I'll definitely make that morning routine.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.